Hi, and welcome back to Open Hand Farm. I am so excited because next week starts the Every Bit Counts Challenge. That is where Jessica at Three Rivers Homestead challenges everyone to preserve something every day of the month. Even if it's the tiniest little bit, just preserve something. Because at the end of that month, it will be amazing how many things you have preserved and have on your shelves ready to go for a later date. Well, I'm going to go in my larder today, and Mark and I are going to get ready for this challenge. We have some things we need to do, and we're going to bring you along with us. So let's go in and see what needs to be done. Here are the shelves that we have put all of our stored canned goods on over the last 2 years. You can see here that Mark had made some risers for these shelves so that I could double stack the jars. And I have 2 shelves down here that we emptied out, and he built me new risers. So I need to put some paper over those today. I have another 2 risers that will go up here on this shelf so that it'll be like this one. And I'm going to try one on this shelf. I could probably only put small items on top of it, but at least it would give me more space to store things. And then over here, we have a shelf that last year we had all of our pumpkins and squash on. And we're going to use it for canning this year, but we need to adjust the shelves. So Mark's going to do that. We did order another one of these shelves that we'll put next to it so that we have room for whatever we can, or if we have pumpkins or something to store or whatever, we have plenty of space and we don't have to worry about it. Let's get Mark in here and get the shelf adjusted. Okay, we got the shelf cleaned off, so now Mark's going to address what we're going to do here.
We've had this shelf unit for a year, mostly used it for like pumpkins and squash and stuff like that last year, and so it worked great for that. But if we're going to put canned goods on there, we're going to want more shelves. So in order to get more shelves, we're going to take one of these shelves out. Weird, eh? Well, by taking one shelf out, spreading the others out a little bit, we've figured that we can have 19 inches between shelves, and with a structure like this, a riser, on each of those, instead of having the 4 that we have now, we'll have 6. Plus, we'll have some space at the top. Now, these risers that I made before, if you can see, they are a little bit on the smallish side. They don't fit the whole thing, so we'll have to remeasure, make some different ones. Okay, we're going to need to build, what do we figure, 6 of these?
Yes. 6
risers. They're going to be a little bigger than the ones that are built for across the room, and this one is one of those from across the room. We'll make them so that they're big enough to fit right into these angles. They're not going anywhere. That's nice. But also, with these, because of the way the shelves are and what they're made of, they're lovely shelves. They're nice and strong, but the legs fall right through, and jars aren't going to be on there real, yikes, aren't going to be on there real, in a real stable fashion. So we're going to put something down there, maybe a real thin plywood, maybe a cardboard, I'm not sure yet, but we'll put something down there. So, got to make 6 of these, got to make, because you might say, well, wait a minute, you're only going to have 3 shelves to put them on. We have ordered another iteration of this lovely shelf. Iteration, you like that word?
He's the English professor, not me.
Right. So, let's see. Oh, also, we have thought, what if there were an earthquake or something? We felt like earthquakes in Oklahoma, Kansas City is not a real earthquake central place, but you just never know. And with stuff in southeast Missouri and Oklahoma being kind of hot spots, it could be enough movement in a big earthquake that it would knock stuff off the shelf. So we thought, well, why don't we put something that will protect us? And so we went to our local store and investigated some things. Where'd the black one go? Oh, it's hanging here. We got a couple of bungee cords, 4-foot bungee cords. And what we'll do is just hook one around here. It'll go all the way around. And hook over here. And that should keep anything from, I mean, unless it's like knocking the whole house down, it ought to keep things from being a big problem. So we'll have one of those on each shelf. Also, we're going to connect something from the top of the shelves up to the joists from up above, just because if it were to manage to tip over a little bit, well, then the whole thing could come crashing. But if we can keep it from moving more than just a half an inch or so, I think it'll be good and stable. So it's not going to have to be a major undertaking, just something to, in the worst case scenario, keep things from moving around. What are we going to do next, Benny? I think we're going to take that shelf out.
Yes, and adjust the others.
And adjust the others, and we'll be well on our way to storage nirvana. We are apparently smarter than we thought we were. This shelf is already attached to the wall with this lovely screw eye into a board. Now, this is our main sewer pipe, which is why we're not all the way up against the wall. That board is in there to support it, so we just piggybacked on it, and there we go.
Well, as you could see, we have the shelves adjusted, and there's enough room to put a riser in between all of these, which will double my shelf space. Now, another thing I need to do is, I'm guilty sometimes of stockpiling boxes, so I need to come over here and clean all this out. I will keep my ball jar boxes. I do really like these fruit boxes that are so sturdy, and I will keep these because these are great for carrying the canned goods from upstairs to downstairs, and they won't give on you because they're extremely sturdy. So I have some over here as well, and I have all of these little tubs that our potatoes came in, and I have some from last year that are okra and jalapeno peppers came in. So I think I'm going to bag all of those up and take them to the auction with me the next time we go and see if they can reuse them. I don't know if they can or not, but they would also make a good brown for in our compost because it's airy and open, and we could just put them down in there. Last year I did a video where I tidied up down here, and I put some things on the walls just to make it a little bit more comfortable, and some rugs on the floor so I could run down here barefooted and not have to worry about stepping on a cold or pokey cement floor. But another thing that we need to do is to address these windows. Mark was down here the other day and realized that there is a big gap at the top of this window and another one. Like, you can see outside, no problem. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna stick some what's called the backer rod. It's just this foam round rod. You can buy it in different widths, and we're just gonna poke it in there, and then we can caulk around it. We will never really have a need to open these windows, but this will help secure it. After we place the backer rod on these 3 windows, I am then going to hang some curtains made out of drop cloth so that we have a darker room in here. And this door has a lovely covering for the window. This door actually leads to the office area that you can get to another way, so this door is like hardly ever used. but I want to dress this up a little bit more too and make an actual curtain for it. I also have these items that I had sitting next to the shelf or on this shelf unit, so they are going to need to find a new home as well. I think I have enough space here to put the tissues and the onions and garlic. I think I could take these two sweet potato boxes and sit next to each other and put the garlic and onion on top of them and just put that stool somewhere else. So I'll address that as well. Another thing I did in order to get ready for this challenge is to buy some more jars. Here's some that Mark had brought me from Menards earlier this month, and then this is a picture of our cart while we were at Menards last week. I have had some older jars that I have used and bought used from someone else, and I've had trouble with a few of them breaking on me in the pressure canner. Just last week I picked the jar up and it lifted and the potatoes all went all over the canner. I was so heartbroken, but I decided it's time to get some new jars. And I also got some freezer Ziploc gallon bags so that we can throw anything in the freezer that we need to throw in. If I have tomatoes that are waiting to be processed or whatever, I wanted to make sure and have these on hand as well. So before I can use these risers, I need to cover them. I will cover these 4, if I have enough, with this paper because it will match what is on the shelf that I already have in there. But I will probably get something different to put on the risers on the black shelves that Mark will be making risers for there. This doesn't have to go over the edge very much. This is just a paper I got at kind of a recycle type place, and it was very inexpensive, and I had used it and used it. I've lined drawers with it, lined these shelves with it. It's been really nice to have on hand. So I'm going to flip this over, kind of drag it, and make sure kind of even on both sides. So now I'm just going to staple. This is a very hard board, so I might have to hammer in the staples and try it this way. See if I can get more pressure. Yep, more pressure that way. All right. We're just going to hammer those in and down. I just don't want to snag my fingers on them. Yeah, I'm only going to get 2 out of this. That's okay. Now I'll have to get some more paper for the other 2. All right, I went ahead and put this riser up here. Sorry, my air conditioner's going. It's been really hot here. So I'm probably not gonna get a time that it's not running to be in here. So I put this riser in, and now I can put items on top of it like I do here, and plenty of things under it. I put this riser in here, and it's a little bit too tall. I mean, it's the same height as all the others, but I have more space in between those shelves. This is a more shallow shelf. So I think I'm gonna ask him if for this one riser, he would cut a little bit off, because if he did, I could put jelly jars under there. I just can't quite get them there right now, but I can put these 1/2 pint jars, no problem. It would be nice if I could fit this size jelly jar in there as well. If he just cut like an inch off, it might work. So we're gonna play around with that. Put that there for now. But I also wanted to share with you, in preparation for the Every Bit Counts Challenge, I've been going through the things that I have preserved in the past and looking for new recipes, and I wanted to share with you things that I will not can again. One of those things is corn. Last year I froze my corn, and we still have 5 quart jars from the year before. We're not doing well at using this. Number 2, that I will not can again. And I don't want to hurt feelings with this. That is not my intention. I had a viewer send me a recipe for chicken cacciatore. I had never eaten chicken cacciatore myself. I wasn't aware of the flavors that was in it. When I looked at the recipe, I thought, oh, I like that, I like that, I like that. I just don't love it, and my family doesn't either. So I think I canned 6 quarts of it, and I have 3 left, and I just don't think we're even going to use it. So if you are a viewer in my area, want to come by and grab a jar of chicken cacciatore, I will give it to you. Otherwise, and I hate saying this, I'm probably going to feed it to the chickens or something, because we are not going to eat it. But I so appreciate you viewers giving me recipes. I love trying new things. It just didn't work this time. Another thing I will not can again, green beans without putting a zinc tablet in them. Let me show you the difference in adding a zinc tablet to the green beans when I can them. Isn't that incredible? Like, they look so much more appetizing. These are okay, but I will put a zinc tablet in from now on. Another thing I will not can is squash. This is butternut squash. I canned several jars of it. I did mash some up for baby food for Zola, but other than that, we just haven't used it. I just don't know what to do with it. So it's just sitting here on my shelf. I'll figure it out. It's not that we don't like it, I just don't know what to do with it. I can make soup with it, but it really hasn't been soup weathered. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4. One more thing. I will not can again. Not that I don't like it, but nobody else does. And that is split pea soup. Now this is a very good recipe. It has cumin in it. It has kind of a Mexican flavor to it. And it's really good. But people just don't like the thick texture of the split pea soup. Last year I did a week-long canning of soups. That was the best thing I've ever done. It was so nice having so many soups on the shelf. So through the winter, Mark would say, well, what's for lunch? I'm like, let's get some soup out. And we had 5 different flavors. So we would just go through them, and I loved them. Now, most of them I did in quart jars, but this one and tomato soup I did in pint and half pint, because I know he doesn't like tomato soup. So I did some of it in half pint jars, which I will do again because that's a perfect serving to go along with a grilled cheese sandwich on homemade sourdough. Best lunch ever. So that will be done again. This will not, no matter the size of the jar. I have enough to last the winter. I have a quart and 2 pints, so I'm good. Now, let's talk about what I will definitely be canning again this year. The first thing, I have been canning these chipotle black beans that have chipotle peppers in them, all kinds of seasonings. They are so good. Just to open out of the jar and heat them up and eat them, they are delicious. But they're even better in different, like, meat casseroles that have kind of a Mexican flair to it, or Buddha bowls where you want to add some beans, add some meat, add some veggies. Perfect for that. We all love these beans. Number 2, and this one I just did last year, and I did it on a whim. I just happened to have a 5-pound bag of carrots, And I had seen a lot of people say, I will never can carrots. I will never can carrots. I'm like, okay, I don't want to just can them straight, plain, whatever. So I found a glazed carrot recipe to can. These are delicious. We just open them up, heat them up. They're so good. They have cinnamon and cloves and a little honey, and they're perfect to go with a roast and mashed potatoes or a pork chop or whatever. They're really good. I will do more of these. Another thing, and I'm not even going to count this in the 5 things that I will can again because it's just a given, and that is any kind of broth. I have oxtail broth, I have beef bone broth, I have chicken bone broth, I have rabbit bone broth, and I have some smoked turkey broth. We smoked a turkey, and I used that smoked carcass to make broth with. It makes great gravy to go with that smoked turkey over mashed potatoes. So good. So that one doesn't count. Broth, it's a given. And honestly, another given, I'm sorry, I'm going over my 5, is any kind of meat. I have chicken, I have ground beef, I have had a ham that we buy from a butcher, that we buy the hog and get it butchered. It doesn't contain a lot of water like store-bought ham, and I just do it in chunks, and it is amazing to open this can of ham and be able to put it in your eggs or in a casserole or in your macaroni and cheese or whatever. It's so good. So that is a given as well. That is 1, 2, 3. We'll count the ham. 3. My number 4 is fire roasted tomatoes. These are delicious. I used to buy them at the store like this, and then I started making my own. And I just take tomatoes and I put them on the grill, and I even put that grilled skin in here to add the smokiness flavor. They're delicious. Great in recipes or sauces or whatever. They are wonderful. Now, the number 5 and my number 1. Last year, like I said, I did a week of soups. One of the soups I made 11 quarts of is the Olive Garden zuppa that has potatoes and kale and sweet Italian sausage in it. You guys, this is a win. Like, this was so good. I think I'm going to do 2 or 3 recipes of it this year. I will do some pint jars because there were nights that I just wanted to keep eating this. And I'd say, hey, let's have zuppa. Martha, I'm kind of tired of zuppa. Well, if I had some pint jars of all the different soups, I could say, that's fine. I'll open a pint of that for you and a pint of this for me because it is delicious. Now, the only problem is that the Italian sausage is a little pricey. And one thing I will do differently is instead of putting all of the kale in here, I will put half of the kale in, and then when it's time to eat the soup, I will put fresh kale in it, and that will even be better. When we got our pig butchered this year, instead of doing all breakfast sausage with the ground meat, I did just some pork. I recently bought some flavoring from an Amish store that we go to, Lilac Lane, and it is to season pork to make a sweet Italian sausage. So I put that in yesterday. I'm letting it sit in the fridge, and I'm going to fry that up today and use for another dish, maybe a pizza, and just taste it. And if that works, I will get some more of that, and I will use my own ground pork with the seasoning to make the sausage that goes in here. So that is my number 5 that I will can again, but it's also my number 1 thing that is the best thing I have ever canned and loved. Thanks for coming along for watching and seeing what I am doing to prepare for the Every Bit Counts Challenge. I have a lot of work to do, and I will get it done, and in the first full week of the challenge, I will give you another tour to show you all of the work that I got done. My mom is coming to visit in a couple of weeks, and that will include the first 3 days of the challenge. So I'm not going to be doing a lot of extra stuff for the challenge that week, but I will kick into high gear that following week and for the rest of the month. So thanks again for coming along, and I cannot wait to do this challenge with you. Until next time, blessings on you and yours.